Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tech and Beer. We're live again today from the Celtic Corner here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And today we're going to be talking about technology trends in the auto industry. And it's really an interesting topic because the auto industry is changing fast. There's everything from companies like Tesla to autonomous vehicles, a whole bunch of things happening. And my guest is an expert in those things. He's Todd Thompson, who is the Director of Marketing and Development at Steel Auto Group. How's it going, Todd?
Great. I appreciate you coming having me out.
No, thanks for coming.
To it. Yeah,
it's awesome. Thanks for coming here. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, appreciate it.
And today we're drinking another local beer here from the Celtic Corner. It's the Celtic Tiger.
Very smooth.
It's very smooth. It's dark. It's got like a chocolatey note a little bit to it.
Nice.
Listen, I read that earlier.
I thought you might have. Yeah.
So Todd, tell me about your background.
Well, I've been in the marketing industry for roughly 25 years, originally out west. I moved out here maybe about 12 years ago. Prior I was in the ad agency and then worked for a printing company as a pre-press manager. Back then, as an agency, you couldn't really work in an agency unless you had a print background.
Okay.
So I was really into it, so I went through and worked as a pre-press manager for a number of years, and then for a company called Sportmart, and eventually Sportmart sold to Sport Check, and I moved out here and started with a company, Music Stop at the time, who was acquired by Long McQuaid. So I worked at Long McQuaid for a number of years, and then founded the car industry and with Steel Auto Group.
Interesting. So are they all marketing focused?
Yeah, entirely. The auto group, the focus changed a certain amount, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, as well as software development. So I have a background with software, and so I also develop applications for the group. For various front-end, back-end things that we do as far as customer data, etc.
And that's an unusual mix to get a marketing and development skill set in one place.
I think the cool term is MarTech nowadays.
MarTech, right? Yeah.
I'm not really sure that fits, but the big advantage for us as the auto group is we can develop and test different applications before we're married to it.
Right.
And we can run kind of an alpha, beta version, see if there's any ground there we're picking up, and then decide if we want to build on it or let it go. And so that's been a real plus for us over the years, I find.
That makes sense, yeah. And so you've been there for 10, 11 years now, you said?
10, 11 years, yeah.
Okay. So in those 10, 11 years, how much have you seen the technology play for automotive dealers change?
In the past 10 or 11 years, I think it's really improved on the customer end of things.
Yeah.
A number of years ago, you'd go into a newspaper, flick through, find the ad for the car.
Right.
You'd shop roughly, I think the average was about 10 different dealerships.
Yeah.
And you'd come in, and you really didn't know a heck of a lot about the vehicle other than what it was telling you in the ad.
Right.
And you were kind of buying a little bit blind, realistically. And I think over the years, the transparency has increased so much that when you're actually in the market for a vehicle, you only shop 1 or 2 dealerships apparently nowadays.
Yeah. And
it's not unusual for you to know more about that vehicle than most of the people at the dealership.
I've experienced that myself.
Yeah, you research it to death online.
Yeah.
And but interestingly enough, a lot of people don't realize this is the vehicle you buy typically isn't one you were shopping to death.
Really?
Yeah, you find that, I'm interested in this, whatever, Elantra, whatever model, or whatever it may be. And we found quite often they don't actually end up buying it. And there's one thing that the whole technology thing couldn't really solve, and still doesn't solve, is when you actually get in the car and you sit and you feel it and you drive it, the way the seat feels, the smell.
Yeah.
New or used, those are the things you can't really translate through a web browser somewhere or your phone. And so those are one of the things that have kept constant, regardless.
It's funny you mentioned the new car smell, because that's kind of one of the biggest kind of marketing.
There is
a
lot of people don't realize this. There's you can actually have some of your print material sprayed with new car smell So
Your print material?
Oh, yeah. So if you're sending a postcard to maybe a potential car buyer, it will smell new car. When you actually get it. A lot of people, it's a Canada Post. For what they're worth, they can offer that.
I'm going to be opening up all the flyers now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a scratch and sniff the material, right? And it smells like a new car.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I haven't done it, but
yeah. So that's really interesting, actually. One of the things I see with the car industry and kind of the automotive sector is you read all these reports about how it's going to be disrupted, how it's going to change. You see these things like these, I think Calvino, we were talking about it earlier, and the car dealership that's basically a vending machine.
Right, yeah.
Which I find a little, I can kind of see it, but, would I do it? Maybe not, but like, what do you see as the trends that are really going to be disrupting the industry?
One of the challenges with a lot of that is, realistically, if you're buying a car, you might be spending $50,000.
Right.
You're going to finance that, most regular humans will finance that maybe 5 years, 6, 7 years long. You want to sit in it.
Yeah.
You want to test drive it. You want a finger to point at if something goes wrong, right? And so the Carvanas, etc., they're certainly out there, but the actual interaction you have with the dealership, I don't think is going to change that much. You're still going to want to deal with some kind of a dealership, whatever that form may be.
Right.
A great example is we have the Genesis brand at the Auto Group. And the Genesis brand, you can order that car online, pay for it online, finance whatever you want, and it will get delivered to your driveway.
Interesting.
You never show up, don't come in, don't talk to us, whatever. That thing can roll in, and you're ready to go. And which is really neat.
Yeah.
What's different for us?
Just for the Genesis?
Just Genesis has come out that way. There isn't a Genesis dealership so much. It's kind of like a Toyota has Lexus.
Right.
That same idea. So Hyundai has Genesis.
Yeah.
And so you do it all online. Purchase it, finance it, do whatever you want. The car rolls in a trailer. Here's your car. It's a beautiful car.
Yeah. You
don't have to set foot in a dealership. Out of all the cars we sold already of Genesis, only one person's done that.
Interesting.
Out of everyone.
So people want that.
They want to touch it.
Yeah.
When you're going to say, I'm going to drive that, for the next 6 years of my life, you probably want to touch that car before you own it. So I don't see that changing that much. For the dealership, it changes in the sense that we don't carry the inventory. So what's cool about that is, and I guess that also relates to just the cost of land, etc., and the cost of holding maybe 300 units on the ground. In our case, Genesis owns all the vehicles until it's sold. So we have 2 or 3 that they loan us of their models. You test drive it, you say, yes, I want that.
Yeah.
We order the car, it might be sitting in Toronto, they'll stick it in a cart and bring it down. And you own it. So we don't have to have a field of 400 out back somewhere in Dartmouth or wherever it may be of all those vehicles. So that's kind of the change. Realistically, if you were a car dealership, you could be selling out of your bedroom. For all they know.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the desire to have it serviced. and even with Genesis, they'll come and get it and drop the car off in your driveway and take it and get it serviced and bring it back.
Really?
So it's a different twist. It's early days and whether that really catches on. But I don't see a huge amount of people certainly partaking in not having driven it, seen it in real life, no matter the 360 video, whatever it might be. You still want to drive the thing before you own it.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's, and depending on the type of car that you buy, how it drives is sometimes a big factor in what you buy.
It could be the smallest thing. It's just the seat's uncomfortable for me. It could be fantastic for everyone else. It could be the smallest thing, but that could be the deciding factor.
And you can't replicate that with
virtual
reality.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just no way around it.
Yeah.
So I think there'll always be a certain aspect as far as the dealership goes and a lot of value the dealership provides.
Yeah.
Whether all our cars are on the ground or not, or whether they come in from a third party or a different location when you order them or whatever it might be, that might change.
Yeah.
But I think as far as the dealership goes, I think people feel more comfortable with that and somewhere they can bring the car if they need to.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. Now, what about these companies? I think I read somewhere that the GM had piloted a program where you pay like a flat monthly fee, and you know, I could have an SUV one day or a sedan the next day, depending on what I wanted. It's not really a technology play, but it's kind of a different way in kind of buying or using a car. I guess you never really own a vehicle.
Yeah,
in that model. Is that something that you see as
what I've come across, especially with I'm not sure if the term's millennial when you're early 20s.
Okay.
I'm starting to lose it. But,
yeah, I've heard that associated to lots of different.
Right. But nowadays, I've noticed, especially with the younger crowd, is they don't really care to own a vehicle.
Right.
It's not such a big thing. I remember when I was 16, it was my life revolved around getting my license.
Yeah.
And getting a car.
True.
Nowadays, I know a number of people who either work for us or what have you, that car ownership's not a big deal. They still have a need for a used car. It's a big country, and anywhere you want to go. And our transit system isn't that great.
Yeah.
In case you ever see the mayor, let them know. But so there'll still be a call for it. But the desire to own it, fix it, insure it.
Yeah.
I could see a potential for that changing, and I see more of a wave of that in the younger generation. I think as far as people myself or even 30 on up, they still like to get in the car when they want and have that immediate gratification.
Yeah.
And there's a lot behind a reason why you buy a car. It's not just transportation, or we'd all buy a beater.
Yeah.
A dependable beater.
True. Yeah.
But so I could see it changing at some point, but certainly it's come along.
Yeah. So from a technology perspective, most of the changes have happened from the customer's end, from a purchasing perspective. But what are some of the cool things that people are doing or dealerships are doing to try and leverage the new technologies? Because how you go to market has changed significantly in the last even 10 years, right?
Yeah.
For most businesses.
Yeah, and what we found quite a bit is the way we communicate with customers when they engage us at the dealership level. Nobody picks up their phone anymore. You don't.
Yeah. I do.
I know. You'll look, you'll say, if you don't recognize the number, maybe you'll just let it go, right? That sort of idea. So a lot of people respond by text.
Right.
They prefer that if we're a dealership, we talk to them via text.
Yeah.
Or, certain amount of email. So, that's changed. How we communicate with the customer is a lot different. The convenience aspect.
Yeah.
A lot of people will prefer convenience over cost. So if you can make it easy to bring the car, hassle-free, I'm just dropping it off. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want a phone and get put through 89 different reception and get put over there and put on hold. And I just want to drop the thing off, have it fixed, and let me know text me when it's ready.
Yeah.
So within our own group, we've changed a lot as far as enabling our shuttles to be text.
Okay.
And then you could see, very similar to a taxi service, where you could see them online. As they're coming out, you'll get notified by text when the shuttle gets there.
Right.
A lot of that stuff we just started to roll out as an answer to that kind of request we get from customers. And I think we'd be the first in the city doing that. But it's just because of that. That's what the customer wants. We're trying to figure out ways to deliver on that and make it easier for you to deal with us.
Well, it makes sense. It's, like you said, it's convenience over cost, right? So it's that famous expression is you can never get more time, but you can always get more dollars. So it's a balance, because obviously we spend a lot of our time trying to get dollars.
Yeah, and I remember a number of dealerships, certainly in the past, had always lamented about how we've got a popcorn machine, coffee, while you wait for the vehicle, right? Yeah. Nobody wants to wait.
I don't want to wait. No.
I want the heck out of there. Yeah. It's like going to the dentist. It's going to hurt. It's expensive. You don't want to hang around.
No.
And to try to deliver on that, get them in and get them out, make it convenient for them. They get home. They're notified what's going on with their car. No surprises at the end of the day. They come pick it up and they leave. We're starting to roll out the next week or two, okaying any additional costs that happen with the vehicle online, as opposed to having to get a phone call the person back, finally talk to them, find out what the issue is, where we send video for service. So if you bring in your vehicle, there's a problem with your vehicle, we'll send you video of the vehicle. So you can see that, I can see that the tie rods are shot. They're hanging off the car.
Right.
It's removing that, so it's more transparent. And technology has really helped with that, gave us a way to bring that to the customer and show them what the issue is, or show them the features and the benefits on the car that much easier and simpler at their convenience, instead of it always bending to our will. You have to be in between this hour and that hour. You have to let us know when you're coming in or not. And, try to remove that friction. I mean, technology is great for doing that.
And as a salesperson, there's nothing that I hate more than being sold to.
Right.
You know, you think I'd respect it a little more than I do, but it's more of a just, I want to be able to buy something. I want to feel like I'm making the decision. I'm the person that's, okay, so I might want to ask some questions from somebody that's a knowledgeable resource. I want to be able to see something with my own eyes and maybe touch it or take it for a test drive. But ultimately, I want to feel like I made that buying decision. So it's interesting that technology is kind of allowing you to
kind of empower you to go that far with it, but still have, like where the dealership comes in, to still have that comfort to know that there's somebody you can talk to, somewhere you can bring it. Somewhere that can communicate with you in a way that you're comfortable with.
Well, because the downside to, you mentioned kind of, the car dealership could be in somebody's basement.
Right. Could be.
It could be, right? But in theory, I mean, the problem with that is, something goes wrong with it. And again, we're talking about a big purchase. It's something that, in my experience with vehicles, I've had times when I've had to take my car back to the dealership, and without that layer of comfort, maybe I would have bought a different vehicle.
Right. Inconvenience. A lot of people make the decision where they get their vehicles serviced by how close they are to the dealership.
That makes a good point.
I don't see that going away either. And I can see the ownership model changing, whether it be shared, whether it be rented, or whatever it may be. I can see that changing over time, just in the cost of the vehicles. Like people are starting to finance these 8 years long. And 8 years is a long time to be married to that car.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people find that, okay, well, if I finance it for 8 years, that'll give me the least or the less payment I can possibly swing. But the reality is, most people don't really want them past 4 or 5 years. They'd like to try something new. And leasing kind of comes into that, and you lease your vehicles, and a number of people lease. But I think there's room for a couple more purchase styles other than just those two to choose from.
That makes sense.
And over time, I think we'll see more of that as well.
Interesting. So in your time recently, as you kind of touched on earlier about like video piece, like how are you guys leveraging video? Is it just on that dealership side, or are you leveraging, or on the service side, or are you leveraging it on the sales side as well? A lot of people say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you could have video of that vehicle. So, for instance, we're kind of a spread out community. And yourself or myself or whomever is pressed for time quite often. And you're online, you're looking at different vehicles. You go on to something like an Auto Trader, and you flick through Auto Trader, and there's 89 Hyundai Accents. They all look the same. They all have the same blurb, roughly. It's the greatest thing ever. Low-K, Granny drove it, whatever it might be. So ourselves, we tried to address that to make it a little bit simpler for you. Is to, if you inquire on the vehicle, we'll send you an actual video, and it's not some sort of a pre-canned video, but it's a video that answers to the questions you may have. I saw one come in last night. The gentleman wanted to hear the engine idle for a period of time, for whatever reason, I think, and check the trunk, as far as the trunk space, and a few other particular items that you can't really get from pictures, that a video may not cover unless it's custom for his concerns, or his what he was wondering about. So when you inquire on the cars, we'll send you back a video. We developed a tool in-house that enables it to be convenient, quick, and easy for not only the customer but ourselves to get that put together and turn it over to you quickly. And same with service. So we've rolled that out. We've sent many thousands of videos over the past just number of months. And the feedback we get from potential customers or clients is they very much prefer it. If you're coming in from town, you're driving in from Yarmouth, we get a lot of people that come from the perimeters.
And to actually see the video of the car, the one you're inquiring about, not a YouTube generic,
Right.
that sort of, but that actual car,
Yeah.
and getting the questions that you were wondering about it answered specifically, that's had a lot of value for us, and certainly with our customers that come in.
And is that just the salesperson going out the back with a camera phone, with his phone?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
We usually tell them, it doesn't have to be a Spielberg production.
Right.
Just get out there, do the video. The tool built in house for us makes it easy for them to do it.
Okay.
And it's quick. So
Yeah.
you send a request. I'd like to get a video on this car. We turn it around in no time. It might be the same hour. And you get the concerns or questions you might have had about that vehicle answered right away. And it gives you so much more value, and it makes you more comfortable about the vehicle I'm going to drive for an hour. I need a compelling reason to come and see that Hyundai Accent compared to the 79 other ones, that sort of idea. And it's been huge. So we've rolled it out to our service department as well. And again, if you're having your vehicle repaired, they come across something unusual. Normally what would happen at a dealership is they'll phone you up at your work, say, oh, by the way, Mr. Smith, the tie rods fell out of your car when we took the wheel off. Yeah. And you may question that. You may just throw the tire on, I'll get it fixed somewhere. And, but if you can actually see a video of here's what's going on here, and listen to the mechanic, the service techs we have, it's constant training for those guys. Every year they have to get redone or what have you, recertified, and they really know those cars. And when you have somebody explain it to you in real time and you understand what the problem is, it makes a lot more sense, and it's great for us. We already have it up on the hoist. It takes the mystery out of it. Right. You know what you're buying. You know what the issue is, and it's very convenient. So it's those kind of technologies, responding back and forth by text, if that's your preference or what have you, has made it way easier to deal with the car dealer in general, but certainly with ourselves.
And it seems like a fantastic, what makes that unusual compared to some other industries is that it's a fantastic way to leverage a piece of technology that everybody carries around with them.
Right.
So whether it's the text or the video from the receiving it or the actually creating the content, it's somebody's cell phone.
Yeah,
and who doesn't have a cell phone?
Exactly, and when you have a cell phone, you don't have to download an app.
Right.
A couple of third-party website providers for used cars.
Yeah.
They have an app to download. And, I only buy a car once every 5, 6, 7 years. I'm not going to download your app, keep it on my phone, learn how to use it. I just want the information. And same with us when you're dealing with maybe getting your car serviced or you're looking for a used vehicle from us. You're not going to jump through a whole bunch of hoops. You just want to have the vehicle you're after. And so technology's enabled us to actually provide that information quicker and easier with less friction for the customer than we've ever been able to do before. And it's been a huge gain for us, and I'd like to think a huge gain for the customer when they're dialing in.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
So are there any technologies in the back end of the business that we don't know about that are making things different?
Yeah, a lot of things with your data. So that's always a touchy subject lately with the Facebook, etc. And any car dealer, not specifically us, but any car dealership typically gathers a lot of information if you purchase a car, maybe even just service.
Yeah.
We know what you're driving, we know where you live, if you bought, the financing, all that information, and how's it being stored?
Right.
And is it secure? And with ourselves for the past couple of years, we've paid a huge amount of attention to security. We have actual security people within our IT that's all they do.
Really?
Is to ensure that the data is secure with us.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you're down on Sackville Row at the used car trailer, they're probably not doing it. Just saying.
Yeah. No.
But it could be the case. But anyways, so that's changed a lot. The way the data is handled, the security of it has been huge. The even profiling, etc. Whether it be using Facebook or Google or what have you, to bring retargeting through the sites, etc.
Right.
Matching up a custom audience, within Facebook. A lot of those things have kind of rolled themselves out recently, just the past few years of when Facebook went public. Beforehand, you used to be able to post on Facebook, and the general amount of your friends will see it, etc.
Yeah.
And the idea was you're supposed to bring all your friends, get people to like you. Come to Facebook, even if you're on your website.
Right.
There's a button to go over to Facebook
like
so
us
you
on
can
Facebook.
like us. Right? And then Zuckerberg, in his own wisdom, pulled the rug out from under you.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, we're not going to share that with all your friends anymore unless you want to pay us."
Yeah.
So it's changed. So roughly, I think the typical number is 4% of your followers there actually see your message.
Right.
If you want to pay, then we'll start to roll it out a little bit more. And so that's changed a lot. So being able to utilize the data that we've gathered over the years, and to be able to offer you, offers or what have you that are relevant to the fact that maybe we haven't seen you in 3 or 4 years. We like to make an offer to you to bring your vehicle back in. We've missed you over the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Maybe we have a senior's discount for your 1989 Cobalt. Whatever it may be, to be able to target that customer a little more intelligently than just literally spraying and praying, as they say. One of the things we noticed is a few years ago we started to call track a lot.
Okay.
And for those who might not be aware, all the numbers on any print material, we would call track and find out how often they were called. Okay. If this ad is running in a newspaper, is it being dialed in? Is anybody reacting to it? Same with flyers, go to your mailbox or what have you. And over the years, we've noticed that people don't check their mailbox anymore.
Right.
I myself, I'm not even sure where mine is.
Yeah.
My wife checks occasionally.
Yeah.
I'd say once every 2 weeks, maybe. But beyond that, and so direct mail and those alternatives have really drifted to the wayside. Yeah. We noticed through call tracking that we haven't heard from, these people are calling in 3 weeks after we sent it.
Yeah.
They think it's new in their mailbox,
Yeah.
So we've changed our message within the mailbox or within the postage piece saying, this weekend only, as opposed to July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah.
All right, so it would still be relevant by the time you finally got around to check your mailbox. And so when the castle restrictions came out, you can't, unless you have implied consent or express consent, you can't electronically communicate to people. So we rolled that into our database, allowing us not to let us know if we're allowed to contact you or not over time. And that's been a big thing, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Implied consent, whether it's been, have we done business with you in the past 18 months? Have you inquired on a vehicle? Yeah. That sort of idea. And, or whether or not you've given us express consent. Right. Interestingly enough, the government decided not to mandate that to print material. Okay. So we can still mail you 10 years after the fact. Yeah. I would assume because they make money on postage. But
that might be
electronically they don't make any money, so I'd say they want to mandate that to a certain degree. But certainly the security of the data and utilizing the data has changed a lot over time.
Data is the lifeblood of all businesses nowadays. It's critical, right? So that's interesting to hear.
Kind of the buzz for a while there has been big data and artificial intelligence and all that, and maybe for an OEM, a big manufacturer, but a lot of it's kind of common sense. Yeah. You could almost overlay a weather API on top of your data and say, okay, well, sunny, people came in. It was really sunny, not many people came in. Yeah. You could do a lot of that nowadays through just third-party APIs. Like we've used stuff from Watson, IBM's Watson, as far as sentiment analysis. Yeah. Text from speech, whatever it is to try to evaluate, all kinds of stuff. But it really comes down to we found it really useful as far as keeping track of decent data, keeping it secure, and using it wisely when we use it. And that's been the big thing for us. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. It's been fun having you on, and we could probably talk about this for another half an hour or 2 hours. I don't
know if anybody will be here when I'm done, but
no. Well, hey, thanks everybody for coming along and listening again. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, and look forward to talking to you again next time.